Be honest. How much time do you spend on your smartphone a day? I'm on mine way too much, and I'm not the only one. Some people find this increase in screen time worrying, especially when it comes to kids. According to a study by the OECD, nearly every 15-year-old owns a smartphone in the 38 member countries of the organization. Distractions, stress, and addiction are on the rise. So how should we deal with this and find a healthy balance with our smartphone use? I'm guessing your phone isn't far away from you right now. Usually, we're on them a lot. That also means we are constantly available, continuously messaging and distracting ourselves and, quite frankly, others too. It's a vicious cycle. And phones also give bullying a whole new platform. This can become a serious issue, especially in schools, leading to some schools even banning their use. In Brazil, using smartphones in school has been forbidden by law since the start of 2025. Students deposit their phones in the morning, in their lockers for example, and can only use them once the school day is over. The idea behind this is to reduce distractions.
I'm more focused now. I used to be anxious about people messaging me. I always want to check my phone. Now, all I can focus on is school. I like it, and the lessons have been going well.
Phones can still be used in emergencies and for teaching purposes. The Brazilian government hopes that the law can help students to concentrate better, as well as benefit their health. It's also supposed to make the students interact more with each other. In real life, of course.
We are regaining social interactions, something we had lost due to all the screens and phones. The kids were glued to their phones and had trouble controlling how much time they spent on them. You see, if adults can't control their screen time, how can we expect the kids to do so?
Across the globe, smartphone-free schools are being tested, like in New Zealand, China, and Italy. In other countries, individual schools are opting to try it. Some studies have shown that this can have a positive effect on the social well-being of the students. But critics argue that this leaves students unable to learn media literacy, and that it can't really be enforced.
Yes, the kids do try to get around it, but overall it's been going a lot better than we expected. Most of the students and the parents have welcomed the new rules. As in every large group, there are exceptions, of course.
It's mostly the older students that have trouble accepting the new rules. Some question why they're not allowed to check their phone during the breaks.
My grades and my performance in class have improved. But there's also a downside to it all, because the truth is that it makes communicating much harder. Almost all of it happens on our phones nowadays. And the first thing I do when I leave school is check my phone. It's almost become a necessity.
Even at schools that have banned the use of phones, 29% of pupils use them anyway. That's according to a study by the OECD. Also, how much screen time is okay outside of school? After all, children's brains and personalities are still developing, and some studies show that social media could have an influence on the brain, leading to some parents wanting stricter rules concerning the use of phones, be that inside or outside of school. Around the globe, parent-led efforts aim to delay children getting smartphones until they're a bit older. In Brazil, one such initiative is called Movimento Desconecta. They aim for phone users to be over 14 years old.
We believe that children should only have their own smartphone once they're old enough to handle it. We think that's the best way to deal with the risks that come with the use.
This campaign tries to get larger groups or entire schools to participate. Participating means agreeing to stop using digital technology until the children turn 14. But other parents are worried that this might make some students feel excluded.
If you ban smartphones, especially things like WhatsApp, which is where you communicate with others and get invited to parties, well, some kids might end up missing out.
A study conducted in Florida showed that around 80% of 11 to 13-year-olds possess their own smartphones. Those without phones are in a minority, which doesn't make things better.
Kids who are in a minority, in any sense, are often likely to experience marginalization or cyberbullying or any other type of mistreatment.
And there are also positive sides to smartphones.
Kids who owned smartphones fared better on basically every measure of wellness that we assessed. Kids who have their own smartphones in our study were more likely to spend time in person with friends each week. They were also more likely to spend more time online with friends.
One of the biggest issues related to smartphones is social media. A Danish study found that on average, children aged 9 to 14 spend 3 hours per day on TikTok and YouTube, apps that can contain disturbing content.
The problem might not lie in the device itself. It might be what children are using that device for.
That could be TikTok, Instagram, or any of the other apps that have become part of our day-to-day lives. An estimated 5 billion people around the world use social media. Memes, trends, and influencers are fun and help people connect. The results of a survey among US teenagers show that 80% feel closer to their friends through social media. They use social media to get in touch with others and express themselves creatively. But how does social media affect mental health? Different studies have come to different conclusions. Some see a clear link between social media and depression. Others argue that how we use social media is more important.
We found that extremely heavy social media use was associated with depression and anxiety, but only among children who use their favorite app for 6 hours or more a day.
Social media can also be a negative influence when it comes to eating disorders and increase the pressure to adhere to unhealthy beauty standards. Posting on apps always invites others to comment. Justin Martin and his team found that the constant influx of opinions also affects children.
Kids who frequently post things publicly online were more likely to report feeling depressed, feeling anxious, being angry, and losing their temper, to report lower self-esteem.
These feelings can be a reaction to negative comments or to being ignored. If it all ends up being a bit too much, spending time on social media is probably not going to help. Of course, you can turn off notifications, set time limits for apps you use frequently, or just try to use it less when you're with friends. In fact, a recent survey among British adolescents revealed that almost 50% would have preferred to grow up without the internet and actively feel worse after a scrolling session. And honestly, I get it. To prevent this from escalating, Australia is now taking action.
Social media is doing harm to our kids, and I'm calling time on it.
So what does he mean by calling time on it? Well, from late 2025, kids won't be able to sign up for social media until they're 16. That's a big jump from the usual 13. Although a lot of younger kids just lie about their age anyway. But if platforms don't play by the rules, they could be hit with fines of up to 50 million Australian dollars. So how exactly does the Australian government plan to make sure this actually happens? Social media platforms are prohibited from saving ID documents for age verification by law. But there are different alternatives, like using selfies to assess the user's age, or having parents confirm it. This British company is currently testing which method is more reliable and safer.
Age assurance systems don't collect data. They answer a question. The question is this person old enough to access this service? Once they've answered that question, they have no need for the data on the system again whatsoever.
Criticism has come from data privacy groups, especially because this concerns kids. Organizations like Amnesty International want social media platforms to be forced to delete problematic content instead of new age restrictions. Other countries are keeping a close eye on what's happening in Australia. New Zealand and Indonesia are already thinking about introducing similar rules, banning kids under 16 from social media. But while everyone's talking about social media and screen time, there's something else we shouldn't ignore. Other apps can be just as addictive. Take online games, for example. They're exploding in popularity among kids and teens. And it's not just about fun anymore. These games are designed to keep you hooked for hours. So it's not just about scrolling. It's also about tapping, swiping, and gaming non-stop. Estimates say that 94% of Generation Alpha, born in 2010 and later, play games on their phone, computer, or console. Often, they play for hours. In Europe, almost 1 in 4 adolescents plays up to 4 hours daily. Gaming itself is not a problem. It allows people to be creative and keep in touch with friends. But gaming a lot can also make it harder to stop, and some games contain hidden dangers. The gaming platform Roblox, for instance, contains secret, violent games or gambling mechanisms. But how far can you go to protect kids from this? In 2021, China implemented new rules. Underage children are allowed to play 1 hour of online games, and only on Fridays, weekends, and holidays. The number of gamers has decreased, but many children find ways to get around the restrictions. And the law has created a new problem: scammers who sell access to games. Restrictions aren't always the solution, but as we've seen in schools, some do work. Whether or not banning social media really improves anything remains to be seen. But clearly, spending too much time on social media can be harmful, and we can all play our part in keeping it in check. Take breaks from screens. Leave it in another room overnight, for example. You'll sleep better as a result. Or switch to a black and white display to make using your phone less appealing. Parents can activate the child protection settings on apps or games as well. This lets you see friends lists and how long the children are online for. Most importantly, speak to children about how much time they spend online. That's it from me today. See you next time.